I like to build and improve my knowledge in the technology and software space. And I want to ask whether you could recommend any good resources and literature. Yeah. In terms of just general technology stuff, I love Engadget from a consumer tech perspective, right? So, and I have to read this later, the Xbox Series X review. The problem with the Series X is there's no great launch titles that I want to buy. With the PS5, there's a great Spider-Man game, which is a great launch title, etc. But you can go to this website here to learn a lot more about consumer tech. You can also listen to a weekly podcast, which I love, and I've been listening to podcasts since July of 2005 when Apple first released them. My favorite podcast is called TWIT, T-W-I-T, which stands for This Week in Tech. And there's this brilliant man who lives not too far away from here, named Leo Laporte, who talks about all the fun tech news from the last week. It's great. You'll love it. Another thing you can do is you can actually follow companies and listen to their earnings calls when they release earnings. And all companies that are big have investor relations portions on their websites. So just search for investor relations and the company name. And what you can do is you can get access to financial information at the same time that every other hedge fund or mutual fund or investment bank gets access to. It's something called Regulation FD, which Elliot Spitzer created back in 2002. FD means fair disclosure. So you have the exact same access at the same time as everybody else. And so you can watch their previous earnings release calls. You can read their financial documents, etc. Or what you can do is you can go to SECgov, which is a United States government website mandated and watched by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And what you can do is you can search for tickers and read a lot more about a company. So, for example, let's do a search on Splunk, which is a great software company. And what you can do is you can read up on important press releases, which are called 8Ks, quarterly earnings reports, which are called 10Qs, and also 10Ks, which is the annual report. Okay? And the annual report is amazing because it basically gives you access to all of the weaknesses this company has, or companies have in general, right? And you can click here and go through sections and look directly at the financial statements, like the balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement, or you can read up and just do a search on the word risks here. So find risk. And there's 68 risks that are highlighted here. You can learn a lot more about this company. You can read about the management team, etc. There's a wealth of information. And before investing in any new IPO, what I recommend always doing is reading the document called the S1. And the S1 is like the annual report, but it's a little bit more detailed. And it provides investors with a better understanding of what the company does, their financial statements, as well as the risks. Yeah. Okay. And in terms of reading newspapers, the only one I kind of recommend is the Financial Times, which is kind of like the Wall Street Journal, but for the world. It's more global. But I don't want you to pay for it. I'm going to show you how to get it for free. And this is why I'm never sponsored. But I don't care. I put my students first. So if you go to ft.com, what you can do is they actually have really, really good articles here. Don't read anything editorial. Just read articles on how the world works. Okay. So, for example, right here, U.S. registers 751,000 new jobless claims as COVID cases surge. Crazy year. So if I click this, I have to pay for it, but I'm going to show you how to get it for free. So I click it here. And it's like, whoa, 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 you got to pay $40 a month. Screw that. So here's what you do. You copy this, okay? You paste it, and you search, and then you click here, and now you can read it for free. Why does that work? Well, it works, and it doesn't work with all newspapers. It works because if the FT didn't allow that to work, then their articles would not be indexed on Google from a search engine optimization perspective.